Please, hide me. The person who visited my apartment late at night was the top secretary of our company who seemed to be battered. Why would such an unreachable beauty, whom I had never even spoken to, come to me? I invited her into my apartment and listened to her story, but I was shocked to learn her true identity. Hey John, look. It's Sarah from the secretary department. During lunch, my colleague Mike whispered as we entered the employee cafe. In a corner by the window, a beautiful woman was having a lunch meeting with President Johnson. As they got up to leave, they passed right by our table. Sarah is really stunning. She's the top secretary in the department. Quite the aspiration. Mike watched Sarah's retreating figure with a dreamy look. In a navy pantsuit and high heels, Sarah walked gracefully, drawing admiring glances from both male and female employees. Even among the highly accomplished secretaries, Sarah stood out. A graduate of Stanford University, fluent in 5 languages. She was not only the president's secretary but also served as an interpreter in diplomatic meetings with foreign dignitaries. On top of that, she had the looks of a model or actress. Despite her high status, she was known in the company as a quiet and modest yet highly capable secretary. Give it a rest. She's out of our league. I told Mike, who sighed and said, she's a distant dream. Our department has no interaction with the secretary department. We'll probably never have anything to do with her. Mike said this with a faraway look. My name is John. I've been working at this company for 4 years since graduating from college. I work in the planning and PR department of a trading company. After 4 years, I've gotten used to the work and have stable relationships. I'm quite comfortable now. Everyone has their own way of spending their free time. Some colleagues go out for drinks after work, some head straight to the gym, and some go home to study for certifications to advance their careers. John, a new teppanyaki place opened near the office. Let's go tomorrow after work. John, come with me for ramen. John, I want to check out this crepe place I saw in a gourmet book. Mike's plans usually involve his hobby of food touring. I have my own plans, so I reluctantly join him about once in 10 times. Since I often turn him down, his food touring results are starting to show around his waist. You haven't been hanging out much lately, John? At least come out the day before a day off. What's up with you? Mike complained. Indeed, for about 6 months after joining the company, I often hung out with Mike after work, but that gradually decreased. There's a reason for that. I had found something. Something I pour all my time outside work and sleep into. I always commute by train. On weekends, after work, I board the train at the station near the office, pass my local station. Get off 3 stations ahead, go through a dim alley, and find an old mixed-use building. Descending into the underground area of that building, there's a rusty door. There's no sign outside. But when you open the door, a different world unfolds. Cheers and applause suddenly fill your ears, and the musty smell unique to underground spaces makes my heartbeat race. Despite the small entrance, the space inside is a wide single floor, with only the center illuminated in the dim room. In the center of the floor is a ring. A fight between sweaty women is already underway. What's held here is mixed martial arts. And it's a well-known underground venue exclusively for female fighters. I've become obsessed with women's MMA. But please don't think I'm weird. I'm not looking at them in a lewd way, I'm moved by their serious dedication. Good, her match hasn't started yet. The match before my favorite fighters was still ongoing. I found a seat as close to the ring as possible, wiping the sweat from my brow. Having run from the station, I was sweating like I'd fought a match myself. The match in the ring concluded, and the winner's ring name was announced. The victorious and defeated fighters, both drenched in sweat, embraced on the ring, and applause and whistles filled the venue. I stood up and clapped as hard as I could. My interest in women's MMA began because of my sister. Now married with a child, she had been a shut-in during her middle and high school years, spending all day watching the internet in her room. I had witnessed my parents' struggles as they attended seminars for parents with similar issues and read countless books on the subject. About 4 years into her reclusive lifestyle, my sister suddenly came to my room one night. John, I have a favor to ask. It had been years since anything like this had happened, and I was surprised. But I also saw determination in her eyes that had been vacant for so long. My sister's eyes that have been hollow for a long time. At that moment, I sensed she was beginning to come out of her reclusive state. I didn't care if she didn't go to school. I always wished she would just come out of her room, have meals with the family, and watch TV and laugh with us. That alone would have been enough. One night, my sister came into my room with her laptop and showed me an article and videos from a site. The videos showed two young women fighting in a ring. They wore glamorous costumes and were engaged in intense battles that seemed like a mix of karate, pro wrestling, and boxing. Take me to see this. This? I was surprised by her unusual request and looked at her face again. I finally found it. Please, John. Okay. If it makes you happy, I'll take you. I went with my sister to the underground floor of a building where the fight club was held. That's the place I now visit regularly. My sister was enthralled by the matches. Seeing her cheer and pump her fists was like seeing a different person. I was stunned, watching her and the ring alternately. The next match features my absolute favorite fighter. She's beautiful, strong, and just so cool. Suddenly, the venue went dark, and a spotlight shone on a door in the corner. The fighter's ring name was announced, and she entered wearing a glittering mask that covered the upper half of her face. The cheers grew louder, echoing off the ceiling. Go Jessica! You can do it! My sister screamed. So, her name is Jessica. Jessica stepped into the ring, exuding confidence as she responded to the cheers. Her long hair curled and her sequin costume hugging her body. Her six-packs were visible. And her legs looked incredibly long under her mini skirt. She stood out far more than the other fighters, radiating an aura of her own. Though her face was partially hidden, it was clear she was stunning. When the match started, she lowered her stance to target her opponent's lower body. Her movements were incredibly fast, and her opponent was visibly bewildered. She grabbed her opponent's lower body, twisted them down to the mat, and quickly applied a joint lock, forcing her opponent to tap out. I think the match lasted barely a minute. The acrobatic moves, the swift kicks from her long legs, and the stark contrast with her appearance completely captivated me. According to my sister, Jessica was unbeatable, and everyone entered the competition just to try to defeat her. Hitting the face was strictly forbidden, and there were other strict rules, making it more of a show than a sport. But every fighter was deadly serious. At first, I was surprised that my sister became obsessed with martial arts. It was probably the same as being obsessed with celebrities or pop star. Eventually, my sister overcame her reclusiveness and truancy. She graduated from high school and is now married with a child. After getting married, she distanced herself from underground martial arts, and we stopped going to the matches together. Since then, I've been attending the matches alone. I became more engrossed in women's underground martial arts than my sister ever was. I kept this from my sister, but on weekdays without matches, I would go straight home after work and gather information about Jessica on my computer. On weekends, I would attend the matches. Recently, Jessica's first fan meeting was held. Hey, did you hear about Jessica's fan meeting? Are you going? My sister called me for the first time in a while. I could hear her baby crying in the background. Of course not. I only went with you. I'm not that interested. I see. I wanted to go to the fan meeting. I was hoping to hear about it if you went. My sister lives far away now. With a small child in the distance, she couldn't attend the fan meeting. I'm sorry for lying. After hanging up, I apologized to my sister in my heart. I had worked so hard to get a ticket for the fan meeting. The day before the event, I got a haircut, and ever since securing the ticket, I had been using facial masks after my evening showers. After all, I would not only see Jessica but also shake hands and talk with her. On the day of the event, the usual underground floor of the mixed-use building was transformed into the fan meeting venue. The line stretched outside the building. I knew she was popular, but this is incredible. The crowd seemed to be an even mix of men and women. I waited anxiously for my turn. I had never been a fan of anyone or dedicated myself to something like this before, so this feeling was entirely new to me. Finally, my turn came. There she was, Jessica, right in front of me. She wore the same makeup and costume she did when stepping into the ring. Of course, her face was partly covered by the sparkling mask, I wiped the sweat from my hands with a handkerchief and reached out to touch Jessica's extended hand. You are one of my most dedicated fans. I see you from the ring all the time. Jessica said this while firmly shaking my hand with both of hers. I was too nervous to speak. I couldn't believe she recognized me. You're my sister's savior. She was a shut-in and a truant, but your presence helped her turn her life around. She's married and happy now. My voice cracked with emotion. So that was your sister. I wondered why you started coming alone. I thought the person next to you was your girlfriend. I'm glad to hear that. Jessica must have enough presence of mind to observe the audience from the ring. She's truly amazing. I looked straight into the eyes behind Jessica's mask. My name is John. No matter what, I'll support you forever. Jessica smiled brightly upon hearing this. John, right? No matter what. For life? It's reassuring to have such a dedicated fan like you. Within the 1-minute time limit, I poured out my feelings. Even on the train ride home, I was floating in a dreamlike state. Honestly, I don't even remember how I got home. That night, I lay in bed, grinning at the selfie I took with Jessica, and fell asleep still feeling the softness of her hand. John, I need to talk to you. Mike approached me with an unusually serious look. Can you spare some time this Sunday? I know it's your day off, but I think we can talk more freely during the day. For a moment, I was at a loss for words. I had no work that Sunday, but I had planned to attend Jessica's match. Looking forward to this had kept me going through the week. Lately, especially after the fan meeting, my admiration for Jessica had intensified, though I still supported women's underground MMA as a whole. I wanted to remain a respectful fan and never cause her any trouble. Just having her as a source of inspiration was enough. John, you've been really motivated at work lately. Did you get a girlfriend? My boss and seniors had been saying this a lot recently. Attending Jessica's fan meeting and knowing that she recognized me had been a huge boost. Although the distance between the ring and the audience remained unchanged, and I had no intention of changing it, the thought of not wanting to show a pathetic side to Jessica naturally motivated me. While I was eager to cheer for Jessica, I felt I couldn't ignore Mike's request for a serious talk. Reluctantly, I decided to skip the match that day and spend it with Mike. Even though it was for a serious conversation, the venue was an okonomiyaki restaurant. Mike wanted to talk about requesting a transfer from his current department. Apparently, he wasn't getting along with his direct supervisor and was feeling mentally strained. I encouraged him to hang in there until the next annual transfer, as I might be relocated too. Mike quickly cheered up and started devouring the okonomiyaki. As I cooked more okonomiyaki for him, my mind drifted to the underground fight club. After spending the entire day with Mike, I trudged to work on Monday morning. Not only were my steps heavy, but so was my stomach from all the okonomiyaki. I wonder how Jessica's match went yesterday, although I doubt she lost. Even at work, my mind was full of thoughts of her. Mike, at his desk in the neighboring aisle, was smiling and working diligently. It's great that he's feeling better, but I want my time with Jessica back. The disappointment of missing Jessica's match lingered as I sat at my desk with my head in my hands. After a while, I looked up and saw some senior colleagues having a serious conversation. Did you hear? Sarah from the secretary department didn't show up for work this morning without notice. The secretary department is in an uproar. Sarah didn't show up without notice? There must be a serious reason for her to miss work without informing anyone. Her phone was unreachable all day, and she never showed up to work. After work, I brushed off Mike's invitation to grab a meal and rushed home to open my laptop. Jessica didn't use any social media, and being part of the underground scene, match results weren't publicly available. I searched desperately for any hidden information about Jessica. As I stared at my laptop, the doorbell rang. At this hour? I looked up from my computer and saw it was almost midnight. I wasn't expecting any deliveries. Yes, who is it? I answered the intercom. I'm sorry to bother you so late. This is Sarah. After a moment of silence, I heard a faint female voice. Sarah? Yes, I'm Sarah from the secretary department. Please, hide me. What? I quickly opened the door, and there she was, Sarah, unmistakably. But she was far from the polished figure I saw at work. Her clothes were torn, her long hair was disheveled, and her face bore several scratches. What happened? Why did you come to me? You said you'd support me no matter what, for life, remember? What? My mind was in a whirlwind, but I managed to calm myself and invited Sarah into my apartment. She collapsed onto the rug, and in front of her was my open laptop. When she saw the article about Jessica that I had been reading, she smiled despite her battered face. Last night, after the match, I was waiting for a taxi. When it arrived, I got in, but it took me to an unknown place. And I was beaten up in a dark room. I think it was fighters who can't beat me and their followers. They threw me out into the streets afterward. Sarah bit her lower lip as she spoke. Sarah, are you really the same person as the fighter Jessica? She nodded quietly. I couldn't believe that the super secretary everyone admired was also the top underground female fighter. How did you know where my apartment was? Your name and address were on the fan club list. When I saw you from the ring, I immediately recognized you as a colleague. I didn't know your name, but I recognized your face. I confirmed it by checking your name tag when we passed by each other. At first, I was worried about what to do. If the company found out, it would be a big problem. I earn a little fight money, too. The company was in an uproar today because you were absent without notice. My phone was broken, and more than anything, I didn't want the company to find out what I was doing. Fighting is my passion. I fetched the first aid kit from the closet and started treating Sarah's wounds. The disinfectant stung her face, making her grimace. Her expression looked like that of a mischievous kid, and as I applied the bandages, I couldn't help but chuckle. I have a favor to ask. Tomorrow morning, could you call the company and pretend to be my brother? Tell them I had an accident and couldn't contact anyone. Also, can I stay here tonight? Sure, but are you making me your accomplice? Didn't you promise to support me no matter what, for life? She looked into my eyes. I guess I did. She told me about how she was inspired by Gina Carano, a famous American female fighter, and started Muay Thai at 15 while living in the US. After work, she trains hard. She channels the stress from her job as the president's secretary into martial arts. I listened to her story all night. The next day, I called the company pretending to be her brother. Sarah returned to work 2 days later. That day, she walked through the department, apologizing to everyone. Now, everything is back to normal. Hey, John, I heard Sarah fell off her bike and got injured. It's surprising she rides a bike. Makes her seem more relatable. Mike whispered as he spotted Sarah walking down the hall. Really? As Sarah passed by, she gave me a discreet wink. That night, Sarah asked me to be her bodyguard and manager. I agreed, and now I train with her on weeknights and act as her cornerman during matches, wearing a mask. Thinking I truly know the real Sarah might be presumptuous, but it fuels my work motivation. Thanks to her, my previously dull life has become exciting. Tonight will be busy too. Determined to finish my work efficiently, I focused on the afternoon tasks with renewed energy. Only if you're okay with it, would you like to come to my place? That night, I invited a shivering college student at the park to my home. She was in tatters, but after a bath, I was surprised by how incredibly beautiful she was. Why was she alone at such a time? When I asked her about it, she told me she used to be a CEO's daughter but was now in a tough situation. 3 months later, the famous CEO, Mr. Johnson, visited me while I was unemployed and said, "I want to thank you. Would you like to take over my company?" What? My name is John. I'm currently unemployed. I used to work in sales at a jewelry store, but I was forced to resign due to petty office politics. Even though it sounded petty, getting pushed to the point of resignation couldn't be taken lightly. I've been diligently job hunting to get back on my feet, but it hasn't been going well, leaving me with a lot of free time at home. The harshness of job hunting has broken my spirit many times, making me consider giving up on several occasions. Yet, every time I felt defeated, the fear of not being able to survive motivates me to keep going. Today, feeling that same sense of urgency, I jumped out of bed and set up a meager breakfast. I always eat while watching TV. This habit started when I began living alone. Even though I was trying to save on electricity, it's more about combating the loneliness I feel during meals. As I turned on the TV, a particular news story caught my attention. It was about a long-established kimono shop that had been in the headlines recently. The shop's CEO, Mr. Johnson, had been arrested for making personal donations to politicians. An investigation was conducted, which revealed further misconduct, such as selling kimonos and jewelry at unfair prices. A former employee was interviewed on TV, who was criticizing Mr. Johnson harshly. I believe he deserved to be arrested for what he did, and it's understandable that former employees would speak ill of him. However, the interview brought back memories of my own difficult situation at the jewelry store. And I couldn't help but feel some sympathy for Mr. Johnson. Just then, the doorbell rang. No one ever visited me at 8 a.m. Wondering who it could be, I put down my chopsticks and headed to the door. Yes, who is it? Judging by your reaction, you forgot, didn't you? Standing at the door was my sister, Emily. Emily is 3 years younger than me and a junior at a prestigious women's college. She had mentioned she would visit her unemployed brother soon, and it seemed today was the day. But wasn't it a bit too early? Sorry, I completely forgot. I thought so. I even brought a gift, and yet, here I am with a rude brother, she said, pushing past me into the apartment. But isn't it too early? I haven't even finished breakfast. Well, yeah, but I was on my way home anyway. Coming home in the morning, huh? You've grown up, Emily. What are you misunderstanding? I was just drinking at a friend's place. Oh, so it wasn't what I thought. Why do you sound a bit disappointed? As a brother, shouldn't you be relieved that your sister isn't being led astray by some guy? Of course, but it's also sad to think my cute sister has no interest from guys. It's not like there's absolutely no interest. Really? Who's the guy? Your face changed too quickly, it's scary. What's up with your emotions? After that, we spent about an hour chatting about recent events. Speak of the devil, Emily suddenly said, focusing on the TV that had been left on. The news about Mr. Johnson, the CEO of the kimono shop, was being covered again on another program. Emily mentioned that his daughter was also a junior at her university. Apparently, the university was a K-12 institution, and his daughter has been there since elementary school. When Emily first transferred there from a public school, the biggest gossip was about her. People were talking about her even when she was in high school. Everyone was excited about this amazing heiress joining the university. Was she really that impressive? Of course. She's a genuine heiress and incredibly beautiful. Emily lamented that she couldn't show me a photo, then turned back to the TV. So, is she super popular at the university? Actually, no. Surprisingly, she's not. Really? Yeah, she has this unapproachable aura. Guys from other schools even come over trying to talk to her, but she ignores all of them. Huh, so she acts all high and mighty? Probably. So, I bet there are a lot of people who think this scandal is karma. Hearing that, I looked at the TV again. I had planned to job hunt today, but since Emily decided to stay for a bit, I spent the day at home. She must have been really tired because what was supposed to be a short rest turned into her staying until nightfall. When evening came, feeling reluctant to part after our rare reunion, I walked Emily to the nearest station. The station was nearly empty, given the late hour. While Emily chatted away, I noticed something in a corner of the station. Under a tree that provided some shade during the day, there was a woman sitting alone. Even in the dim light, it was clear she was curled up against the tree. Not feeling the urge to approach her, I sought Emily off at the ticket gate. On my way back, I took the same path. As I descended the stairs and entered the plaza, the woman was still there. She remained huddled at the base of the tree. It was odd for someone to sit there late at night, away from prying eyes. I wondered if she might be feeling unwell. Thinking that, I quietly approached the tree, trying not to startle her. "Excuse me, are you okay?" I called out gently, trying not to alarm her. But she didn't respond. I raised my voice a bit, but still no reaction. Thinking she might be asleep, I moved into her line of sight. Yet, she showed no sign of noticing me. She was slumped over, her face hidden, making it likely she hadn't seen me. Whether she was asleep or not, sleeping there wasn't safe. I decided to tap her on the shoulder. She seemed startled when I touched her shoulder, but since she seemed to have realized I was there, I tried again. "Are you okay?" She looked up, and our eyes finally met. Her expression was incredibly sad and fragile, as if she might burst into tears at any moment. "What happened? What are you doing here?" Judging by her clothes, she seemed to come from a well-off background. Although they were slightly dirty, they were all from reputable brands. Upon closer inspection, I noticed she had placed a blanket under her to avoid getting dirt on her clothes. "I don't have anywhere to go, so I thought I'd rest here for the night." Contrary to her expression, the woman responded in a gentle tone. Even the nuances of her speech exuded elegance. Thinking she might be in some trouble, I suggested we go to the police station right next to the station. She immediately lowered her head and began trembling. It seemed her issue wasn't something that could be easily solved by the police. I considered leaving her be, but that just wasn't my style. Trying to offer some comfort, I proposed another idea. "Spending the night here is lonely and dangerous. If you're okay with it, would you like to come to my place to rest a bit?" "What? But I don't want to impose. It's no trouble. I have a sister about your age, and I wouldn't want her spending the night alone in a park. I can't just leave you here." After a moment's thought, she nodded. "Thank you. I appreciate it." Once I brought her home, I realized I didn't have any fancy tea or snacks to offer someone from such a refined background. I seated her in my cramped living room, and went to the kitchen to fetch a new bottle of tea from the fridge. I thought it might not be appropriate to serve it as it was, so I poured the tea into a cup before taking it to her. On the way, I noticed the tea was cold and hesitated, wondering if I should warm it up. Though it wasn't as cold as winter, I remembered it was chilly outside, and her shoulder felt a bit cold when I touched it. So I decided to warm the tea. After some consideration, I brought the warmed tea to her. "It's just some simple tea, but please have some." Even though her appearance was a bit shabby, her mannerisms as she took the tea reminded me of her refined upbringing. I poured the tea from a plastic bottle into a cup and warmed it up in the microwave. But even so, no one could tell otherwise if I told them she was drinking some fancy foreign herbal tea. Even the cup felt so refined that one might think it had decades of tradition behind it. As I watched her drinking the tea and being captivated by the sight, I couldn't help but feel unworthy of the privilege of being so close to her. Suddenly, she began to cry. "Oh, I'm sorry. Was it that bad? I didn't realize it was so bad it made you cry. I apologize. But right now, that's the only tea I have." As I flustered, she wiped her tears and smiled. "No, not at all. I just haven't felt such kindness in a long time, and it moved me." Sorry for making a scene. Relieved, I sighed and said, "I see. So, were you really planning to spend the night there?" She looked down again and replied, "Yes, I have no place to go." "What happened? If you're comfortable sharing, maybe I can help." She seemed to relax and started to speak slowly. Her name was Karen. She turned out to be the only daughter of Mr. Johnson, the CEO of the kimono shop making headlines. From her graceful demeanor, I had guessed she was someone important, but I didn't expect her to be the heiress of such an old and prestigious shop. According to Karen, her father's arrest was a misunderstanding. She didn't know all the details, but the night before his arrest, she heard him arguing with someone on the phone late into the night. From what she overheard, it seemed like her father had been set up, leading to his arrest the following day. She tried to get answers from him, but before she could, they were separated. Moreover, their house was seized, leaving her with nowhere to go. She had lost all the family's savings stored at home, and had been living like a runaway girl with minimal belongings for a few days. "You are the first person to reach out to me. I am truly grateful." "Thank you. No, I didn't do much." "Still, it's strange that such a beautiful woman like you didn't get any help. But I'm glad I was the one to approach you first. There are people out there who might not have the best intentions." "Yes, you're right. Thank you so much. She said this while looking slightly embarrassed, lowering her head. By the way, I mentioned earlier that I have a sister 3 years younger than me who attends that prestigious women's university. I heard you go there too. Yes. But I haven't been able to attend since the incident. And to be honest, I didn't have any friends there either. The conversation grew awkward, as it felt like I had touched on a sore subject. Even so, it's dangerous for a woman to stay out in a place like that. What if something happened? When I said that, she looked down again. This time, it was as if she had no words left to respond. I understand you don't have anyone to rely on and nowhere to go. So why don't you stay at my place until you get back on your feet? She looked surprised at my suggestion. After a moment of contemplation, she replied, Is that really okay? I mean, a young man and woman under one roof. What? If my father saw me in this situation, what would he say? I might not be able to get married. Hey, Karen? Don't get carried away on your own, please? Sorry. I got a bit flustered. I've never stayed at someone else's place before, so I went a little overboard. You did say you didn't have any friends. And to think my first experience is with such a kind and wonderful person. She blushed and suddenly seemed more like an innocent girl rather than the dignified woman from before. Then, she looked at me seriously and said, John, yes, I will take you up on your offer and stay here with you. I couldn't tell if she was serious or joking, but I felt a bit relieved knowing she had a surprisingly strong spirit. She had managed to survive for a few days without a home after her father's arrest. She must be resilient. I let her take a bath, and while she did, I contacted my sister to explain the situation and asked her to get some necessities for Karen. Initially, Emily was shocked, saying, What happened? But calmed down once I explained, agreeing to help without further questions. I finished the bath. Oh, were you talking to someone? You aren't cheating on me already, are you? Why would you think that? We're not even dating yet. Yet? So you plan to date me in the future? Karen, you're surprisingly bold, aren't you? Yes. My father says I get it from my mother. Though she wasn't around much by the time I was old enough to remember. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, don't worry about it. I don't have many memories of her. So, who was that on the phone? It was my sister. I told her you'd be staying with me for a while, and she's bringing some things you'll need. Oh my, meeting the family so soon. John, you're moving fast, we haven't even spent our first night together yet. Wait, no. What do you mean by first night? We are not going to sleep together. As I stammered, she gave me a playful smile. Oh, I'm fine with that anytime. I noticed she was wearing one of my t-shirts, with a towel around her neck. And from her still damp long hair wafted a pleasant scent, one that I could hardly believe came from the same shampoo I use. Just go dry your hair before you catch a cold. The first words I managed to utter, stuck for words as I was, were pathetic even to my own ears. Still, she quietly returned to the bathroom, which was connected to the dressing room. After she was ready for bed, I showed her to the guest room and said goodnight. She had the same upbeat demeanor as before, but since I had preparations for job hunting the next day, and spending the night with a girl I just met didn't seem appropriate, I declined and left the bedroom. Even so, I was worried about whether she was sleeping well, so I checked on her a few times. Peeking quietly into the bedroom, I saw that she was sleeping soundly, perhaps exhausted from putting on a brave face. Seeing her deep in sleep, unaware of my presence, I felt relieved. As I was about to leave the bedroom, I heard a small murmur. Dad! Her soft utterance made me turn back. She had a sorrowful expression on her face, even in her sleep. No matter how tough she acted, she was still a young girl. Being separated from her only family member must have been incredibly painful for her. Her father had been arrested for a crime he didn't commit, and now he was being vilified by the public. I resolved to treat her with kindness from now on, while also feeling anger at the world's unfairness. To separate her from her father due to a wrongful arrest and to take away the home of an innocent girl is beyond cruel. If what she said was true and her father was wrongfully arrested, who would do such a thing, and why? These questions made me even angrier. I didn't know how long she'd stay with me, but I resolved to ensure she didn't feel lonely while she was here. With that thought, my tumultuous day came to an end. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of a delicious breakfast. Wondering who was cooking, I went to the kitchen and found Karen and my sister, Emily, happily cooking together. Karen noticed me first. "Oh, good morning. You slept well, didn't you?" Her radiant smile was a stark contrast to her sad tears the night before. "Good morning. Emily, you are here so early again. Another all-night party? Good morning, bro." "No, I was just worried about you. I came to deliver some essentials and found Karen here." "What a surprise. I was surprised too. I never expected to meet your sister so soon. Actually, she's my senior. Just call me Emily. No need to be so formal. But I can't believe Karen is staying at my brother's place." "You've got some nerve, bro." "Hey, don't say things that could be misunderstood." "Misunderstood? You kept peeking into my room last night, didn't you?" "What? You were awake?" "Of course. With those intense stares, anyone would wake up," she said, blushing theatrically. Emily looked at me with a mix of disbelief and disgust. "John, that's kind of creepy. I was just worried if she was sleeping well." "I didn't do anything inappropriate." "That's still not very respectful to Karen, right? Then what should I have done? Anyway, it looks like I'll be staying here for a while. I hope we can get to know each other better, John. And eventually. Karen, if my brother does anything you don't like, just tell me, okay?" "Oh, my kind sister-in-law." That morning was filled with so much banter that I found it exhausting to respond to every comment. After a cheerful breakfast with the two of them, I started preparing to head out for job hunting. And so began my unusual cohabitation with Karen. At first, it was a bit awkward, but we gradually got used to it, and I started enjoying my time with her. When I was out job hunting, Emily would often come by to keep Karen company. According to Emily, Karen felt like a little sister she couldn't ignore. Despite still acting tough, Karen slowly regained her original cheerful and elegant demeanor, shedding the weight of her recent hardships. Seeing her return to her true self up close made me happy and also made me wish our time together could last longer. About 3 months after Karen started living with me, we were having breakfast as usual. Karen had just set the last of the dishes on the table when we heard the news from the TV. We usually didn't watch TV during meals, but we kept it on to stay updated on her father's situation. That day, the news finally announced that Mr. Johnson's arrest had been a mistake. Karen, who was carrying a tray, froze in the doorway, staring at the TV. "See? Finally. Just like I said." Karen cried with joy, her voice trembling with tears, and I couldn't help but hug her. "Thank goodness. This means you won't be alone anymore," I said, almost tearing up myself, moved by her happiness. The news went on to explain the details. The man they arrested this time was Nathan, the executive vice president of the company. The person Mr. Johnson had argued with before his arrest was Nathan. It turned out that Nathan had framed Mr. Johnson to get him arrested. Furthermore, Nathan had conspired with several employees to claim the right to manage Mr. Johnson's assets, and was planning to seize all the companies in Mr. Johnson's properties. However, during the investigation, all these plans came to light, and Mr. Johnson was exonerated while Nathan was arrested. For me, it felt like something out of a drama, so surreal that I muttered, "This feels like a TV show." Karen, hearing the full story, seemed to relax for the first time in a while, nearly collapsing to the ground. I supported her as she clung to me, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so glad." Karen had probably not minded the current living situation. But the uncertainty about her father's future must have been overwhelming. "Yes, I'm so glad too." We repeated those words to each other, holding each other gently. The following week, Karen received word that her father and their home were being returned to them. Through Karen, Mr. Johnson conveyed that he wanted to invite me and Emily, who had taken care of Karen for the past 3 months, to their home. Both Emily and I were eager to accept, so we gladly went with Karen to the Johnson residence. Though not fully restored, the house was still luxurious, almost unreal in its opulence. We met Mr. Johnson, who appeared to have lost a lot of weight. Karen and her father had an emotional reunion, crying and hugging each other. The touching scene moved Emily to tears. Nice to meet you. I'm Karen's father. Thank you so much for taking care of my daughter. I truly appreciate it, he said, bowing deeply, which was unexpected for someone of his status. No, it was nothing. I just did what anyone would do. Still, I'm glad you were the one who found her first. Although a bit embarrassed, I was pleased to hear that. I'd like to repay you somehow. What would you like? Karen spoke up from beside him. Dad, John is currently unemployed. How about we let him work for us? After helping you, we should employ him? Is he in such dire need of a job? Embarrassingly, I've failed in all my job applications so far. How could any company not hire someone as wonderful as you? It's absurd. But while I'm happy to offer you a job, it doesn't seem like enough. After thinking for a moment, Mr. Johnson spoke with a slight grimace. Really, just getting a job is more than enough. No, even if it's enough for you, it's not enough for me. How about this? Why don't you marry my daughter and take over the business? Wait, what? That's too much too fast. You can't decide something like that so lightly. I'm not taking it lightly. I owe you more than my life. Besides, it seems my daughter has feelings for you. Huh? Karen was taken aback by the sudden turn of the conversation and froze. Am I wrong? No, that's not. Karen stammered, her face turning red from embarrassment. Though we had often joked about it while living together, I never thought she took it seriously. No way. Even though I've spent time with her, that's just not possible. I tried to laugh it off, but no one joined in. In the awkward silence, I found myself at a loss for words, so I looked to Emily for help. John, you're surprisingly dense, you know? Instead of help, I got a sharp retort that hit me like a volley shot from Emily. When I looked back at Karen, she was glancing at me shyly, fidgeting nervously. Her reaction made me realize that all our previous banter had been her way of masking genuine embarrassment. So, what's your decision? I was a bit taken aback by the unrealistic proposal, but I decided to accept it. And so, having unexpectedly saved the daughter of a long-established kimono shop owner, I went from being unemployed to training to become the heir of Mr. Johnson's business by marrying into the family. Disgusting. Don't ever show your face to me again. In the pouring rain, the president's daughter, who had discovered my secret, said these cruel words. Those cold words pierced my heart along with the raindrops. The next day, I was informed of my transfer to a regional office. You will be going to the regional office. Cold stares from my colleagues. And the sound of my dreams and hopes shattering. However, in my new position, I would meet a woman who would change my destiny. When she learned my secret, tears welled up in her eyes, and she said, "Will you, with me? I'm John, 28 years old. My resume only says high school graduate, but so what? Sky Airlines, a leading airline company in Japan. In the 45th floor office of its headquarters, I work hard every day. John, once again, you are the top performer this quarter." Admiring glances from those around me at my boss, Arthur's words. Top performer for 5 consecutive years since joining the company. No one looks down on me just because I only graduated from high school. Thank you. But I still need to work harder. Despite my humility, pride burns within me. Education doesn't matter. As long as you have the ability, you can go as far as you want. On my desk, there is a mountain of materials for the next big project. A new international flight project. If I succeed, my career will skyrocket. Today is the day of the crucial internal presentation. In the hallway leading to the meeting room, Harvey approached me. Hey, John. Do you think you can handle today's presentation? Harvey's voice was full of obvious contempt. How pathetic that they entrusted such an important project to a mere high school graduate like you. Harvey, 32 years old, a graduate of H University's economics department. He always looks down on me because I only graduated from high school. I took a deep breath and tried to remain calm. Harvey, education doesn't matter. Don't make me laugh. Harvey snorted. It's people like you who lower the company's standards. You'll definitely fail and embarrass yourself in today's presentation. I'm looking forward to it. I said nothing, just put my hand on the meeting room door. As I entered, the executives were already gathered. And I noticed a woman sitting in the front row. Rachel, the daughter of Sky Airlines president. Her long black hair gracefully covered her shoulders, and she had an impressive, dignified gaze. Her presence tightened the atmosphere in the room. Now, let's begin the presentation on the new international flight project. As the presentation progressed, I could sense the audience's reaction changing. From skeptical expressions at first, to intrigued looks, and finally to faces full of expectation. That is all of my presentation. After a moment of silence, applause erupted. Rachel stood up and approached me with a smile. John, that was an excellent presentation. Especially the marketing strategy in collaboration with the local community was outstanding. Her words made me open my eyes wide in surprise. Receiving praise from Rachel. Thank you. Rachel continued. Can we have John lead this project? What? I couldn't hide my astonishment. Yes, I will do my best. As I answered, I heard Harvey grinding his teeth behind me. A few days after the presentation, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, this is John. John, it's Rachel. Hearing her voice, I straightened my posture instinctively. How's the project going? Everything on track? Yes, thanks to you. That's wonderful. By the way, her voice softened a bit. Do you have time tonight? Yes. Great, I'll meet you in front of the headquarters building at 8. The call ended. I stared at my phone in disbelief. When I arrived at the meeting place, Rachel was standing there. She was wearing an elegant dress, a stark contrast to her work attire. Sorry to keep you waiting. No, you're right on time. She smiled. Let's go. I was led to a high-end restaurant and couldn't hide my confusion. John. She looked at me seriously. I like you. What? Will you go out with me? With marriage in mind. I couldn't believe my ears. A confession from the president's daughter? Is this a dream? Rachel. I'm just an ordinary employee. That doesn't matter. She interrupted. Your skills and personality are what attract me. Plus? I really like your face. After that, we had dinner together a few more times. However, my heart remained confused. Indeed, Rachel is an attractive woman. Intelligent, beautiful, and strong. I respect her deeply in a professional context. But, no matter how many dinners we had, romantic feelings did not grow within me. Instead, every time we met, my guilt grew. Hey, John. Her voice brought me back to reality. What do you think about us? My throat felt dry. I couldn't answer. If I told her the truth, it would surely hurt her. And then? What will happen if I refuse? The worst-case scenarios flashed through my mind. I'd be removed from the project. Transferred. Or even fired. John? Oh, sorry. I was lost in thought. I hastily tried to cover up. A hint of sadness appeared on Rachel's face. Another month passed with my indecisive attitude. Hey, John. I turned at the voice. It was Harvey. You seem pretty close with the president's daughter. His eyes were cold. Don't get carried away, you high school graduate. Your true nature will soon be exposed. His words intensified my anxiety. I looked out the window again. Under the blue sky, the city was as bustling as usual. Yet, my heart felt shrouded in dark clouds. One day, a sudden downpour hit the city. Harvey and I, who were outside, quickly took shelter under a building's eaves. Damn, the weather forecast was way off. Harvey clicked his tongue. I silently watched the rain. My soaked clothes clung to my body, making me shiver. At that moment, I saw Rachel. She was walking towards us with an umbrella. Oh, John, Harvey. What are you doing here? We're taking shelter from the rain, I replied. Rachel looked worried as she saw my state. Oh dear, you're soaked. She took out a handkerchief from her handbag. Let me wipe you off. It was then. I'll do it. Harvey stepped in front of me and snatched the handkerchief from Rachel. Harvey? As Rachel looked confused, Harvey began to roughly wipe my face. Hey, stop it. I tried to push Harvey's hand away, but it was too late. Oh. Rachel's voice trembled. I looked at her nervously. There, exposed, was the red scar running from my cheek down to my neck. I have a large scar on my face. I got this scar 10 years ago in a car accident. When I was a new employee, I never thought about hiding it. It wasn't until much later that I began to care about the stares. Harvey was my senior. One of the few who knew me from when I first joined the company. To reveal it like this. Her expression changed from shock to fear, and then to disgust. Rachel, this is. My words trailed off. This can't be true, right? Let me explain. There's a reason. I desperately tried to find the words. But she stepped back, further and further. Don't come any closer. I can't believe this, how could this happen? I reached out to her, but her words, don't touch me. Monster, tightened my heart. Tears welled up in her eyes. A mix of anger, sadness, and the pain of betrayal. You deceived me. You kept this from someone you were going to marry, it's unforgivable. Rachel, it's not like that. Please listen. But she had already turned her back. Enough. Don't ever show your face to me again. With those parting words, Rachel disappeared into the rain. Harvey smirked. Serves you right. Your true nature's been exposed. I stood there, drenched in the cold rain. The scar seemed to ache. Or maybe it was my heart. There was no sign of the rain stopping. It felt like a prelude to the trials I was about to face. A few days after that rainy day, I was summoned to the president's office. John. Mr. Thornton's voice was heavy. We've decided to transfer you. His words sent a chill down my spine. A transfer? He nodded slowly. Yes. To a regional office. It's going to be a key location in the future. We need someone of your caliber to turn things around. With your skills. I'm sure. His words sounded like empty platitudes. I smirked inwardly. This is definitely a demotion. I understand. I answered calmly. At that moment, there was a knock on the door, and Harvey entered. Excuse me. Regarding John's replacement. Harvey's eyes looked at me with a mocking gleam. Harvey, you'll take over for John. Yes, leave it to me. As Harvey left, he whispered in my ear. Serves you right, high school graduate. You never belonged here. I clenched my teeth. The frustration and humiliation felt like they were crushing my chest. As soon as I left the office, I felt something inside me crumble. A week later, I arrived at my new post at the regional office. My heart was heavy. In contrast to the glamorous offices in Tokyo, here was a small, old, two-story building. The sign saying Sky Airlines regional office was peeling, and I couldn't help but smirk at the parallel to my own situation. Taking a deep breath to calm myself, I walked through the office door. Ah, you must be John. Welcome. A bright voice instantly lifted my spirits. Standing before me was a young woman with a smile and a wave. Emily, 25 years old. Her shoulder-length, glossy black hair was striking, and though she was petite, she exuded a dignified aura. Her large eyes radiated kindness, and her softly curved lips were smiling. Oh, yes. I'm John. Nice to meet you. I nervously introduced myself, my greeting coming out awkwardly. Emily nodded happily and said, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you too. Her voice had a warmth not found in the city. John, come this way. I'll introduce you to everyone. As she lightly took my arm to guide me, I instinctively flinched. The softness and warmth of her hand directly touching my skin made my heart beat a little faster. Thank you. I replied hastily, noticing my voice was slightly pitched. Emily didn't seem to notice my reaction and continued talking brightly. John, you came from Tokyo, right? I'll show you all the great things about this place. Her carefree smile captivated me. She had a simple, warm charm different from the city women. As she showed me around the office, she walked right beside me. The gentle scent from her hair occasionally tickled my nose. With each encounter, I felt my tension gradually ease. This will be your desk. Mine is right next to yours, so feel free to ask me anything anytime. Emily smiled warmly, and my heart skipped a beat. Being so close to her made me feel slightly uneasy. Thank you. I look forward to working with you. I tried to respond calmly, but internally, I couldn't hide my turmoil. I would be working this close to her every day from now on. A mix of anticipation and anxiety swirled inside me. Standing next to me, Emily smiled gently and said, "John, let's do our best together from now on." Her words gave me a bit of courage. The shame of being demoted slowly faded in the face of her kindness. I began to see a glimmer of hope in my new life here. 3 months after starting at the office, one day, our manager, Kevin, called Emily and me in. "I have a big task for you too." Kevin's voice, usually stern, held a hint of expectation. "Collaborate with the prefecture to create a new airline package for inbound tourists. If successful, this will be a major project that impacts the survival of our office." I looked at Emily, and we exchanged glances. This was a huge opportunity for us. "Understood. We'll give it our all," I replied, and Emily nodded firmly. The project was challenging. Tapping into the inbound tourism demand was a perpetual challenge for regional airports. Existing tourism routes and PR strategies were not enough. "John, how about this?" One day, Emily spread out a proposal in front of me. A healing journey that leverages the local nature. Hot springs, forest bathing, and healthy meals using local ingredients. Let's highlight these aspects. My eyes lit up. That's it. It perfectly matches the needs of foreign tourists wanting to escape the city hustle. We spent countless nights working on the proposal. Collaborating with local inns and farmers, crafting effective social media strategies, and developing unique in-flight services. We packaged everything into one comprehensive package. On the day of the presentation, we stood side by side in the meeting room at the county office. And this heartfelt project package is not just a tour. My voice resonated with confidence. It's a journey to experience the beauty of this nature with all 5 senses. Emily smoothly changed the slides and added supplementary explanations. Relaxation in hot springs, refreshment from forest bathing, and healthy meals made with fresh local ingredients. All these elements are organically connected to offer a trip that rejuvenates both body and soul. When the presentation ended, silence filled the room. I felt a surge of anxiety, but Emily gently held my hand, reassuring me. And then, wonderful, Governor Foster stood up and gave us a big round of applause. This is exactly what we were looking for. Let's move forward with this project. Amid the cheers, Emily and I shared our joy. In that moment, an unspoken bond formed between us. A few months later, the heartfelt project package was a huge hit. Bookings poured in from abroad, and the number of airport users hit an all-time high. It also had a significant positive impact on the local economy. Kevin beamed with pride as he praised us. "Well done. Thanks to the two of you, the future of our office is bright." That night, Emily and I celebrated with a toast at a small pub. Outside the window, the stars shining in the night sky seemed to promise a hopeful future. The day after the successful project celebration, in the late afternoon. As we finished tidying up the office, Emily approached my desk. "John." When I turned to her voice, a softer smile than usual greeted me. The evening sun illuminated her profile, making her look unusually alluring. "Good job. Hey, how about celebrating tonight?" Her words made my heart stop for a moment. Oh, yeah, let's celebrate with everyone." Emily shook her head, interrupting me. "No, not with everyone." Blushing slightly, she continued. "Just the two of us." At that moment, something burst inside me. My mind went blank, and my heart pounded loudly in my ears. Just the two of us, huh? I could hear my own voice trembling. I hurriedly cleared my throat and tried to compose myself. Ah, yeah. That sounds good. Let's go. Emily's face lit up. Great. Let's meet at the pub in front of the station at 7. As I watched her walk away lightly, I took a deep breath. Calm down, me. It's just a drink with a colleague. But, just the two of us? I quickly finished cleaning up and dashed out of the office. I freshened up in the station restroom and arrived at the meeting place 10 minutes before 7. While waiting for Emily, who hadn't arrived yet, I felt my heartbeat refusing to calm down. John. I turned around and saw Emily, who had swapped her work clothes for a light pink dress. Her hair was lightly waved, and her makeup was subtle yet alluring. I was speechless. What's wrong? You look so surprised. Emily tilted her head. No, you look beautiful. The words came out before I could stop them. Emily's cheeks turned red again. Thank you. You look great too, John. We both laughed, trying to hide our embarrassment. Shall we go? Emily placed her hand on my arm. The warmth made my heart beat even faster. As we walked through the night streets, I pondered. Is this a date? Or just a drink with a colleague? I didn't know the answer. But the excitement in my chest felt like a sure sign. Something new was starting to grow between us. The small pub was bathed in soft light. The owner behind the counter gave us a warm smile. Emily and I sat at a small table in the back. Let's start with a toast. Emily raised her glass. To the success of our project and to our. She hesitated for a moment, then smiled and said, to the future. Cheers. I clinked glasses with her. In the dim light, Emily's eyes sparkled. At first, we talked about work. We shared stories of the project's challenges and funny episodes with colleagues. Laughing together, we gradually relaxed. Suddenly, Emily looked serious and said, By the way, John, you're from a single-parent family, right? I was a bit surprised and nodded. Yeah, that's right. Emily hesitated a bit before continuing. Actually, I am too. I was raised by my mom. I see. I quietly listened to Emily's words. She took a deep breath and began to speak. I don't remember much about my father. He left without saying anything, abandoning my mom and me. A hint of tears appeared in her eyes. At first, I resented him. But now. Emily smiled softly. Maybe it made me stronger, made me determined to do my best in everything. I nodded silently. I understand. I felt the same way. Emily looked at me shyly. Actually, the reason I approached you at first was because of that feeling. What? I thought we might understand each other, being in the same situation. Choosing her words carefully, Emily continued. But once I got to know the real you, I was just amazed. That's not true. I said, feeling a bit embarrassed. Emily gazed at me seriously. No, you really are amazing. You excel at work, yet you're so humble. Why is that? She asked curiously. I thought for a moment. Well, it's a long story. A long story? Emily's eyes became serious. Yeah. Choosing my words carefully, I continued. A long time ago, I was overconfident and made a big mistake. Since then, I've been more cautious. Emily nodded slowly. But you should have more confidence. Your abilities are genuine, John. Her words warmed my heart. Thank you. I expressed my honest feelings. As we drank more, the conversation turned to more personal topics. What kind of woman do you like, John? Emily asked, looking up at me slightly. Ha! I was momentarily at a loss for words. Well, someone kind, with a lovely smile, I guess. Really? Emily smiled meaningfully. Specifically? Specifically. I looked straight into her eyes. Someone like you. As soon as I said it, I was surprised by my own boldness. But Emily blushed happily. Maybe I've had too much to drink? She said, trying to hide her embarrassment. No, I'm serious. I answered with a sincere look. A moment of silence passed between us. Then, Emily gently reached out and touched my hand. I think I might like you too, John. Her words made my heart skip a beat. Emily's fingers danced lightly on my hand. Emily. I said her name. She smiled and moved closer to me. Our faces slowly drew nearer. But something held me back. Was it right to let this relationship progress without telling her everything? I still had things I hadn't told her. Emily, The words were on the tip of my tongue, but I swallowed them. Emily seemed to sense my hesitation and watched me gently. Hey, Emily. I took a deep breath and made up my mind. There's something I need to tell you. Okay, I'm listening. Emily nodded seriously, her expression attentive. I've been hiding something. I started quietly. I have a scar on my face. I cover it with foundation now, but... Emily's eyes widened. What? It was when I was in charge of a big project in Tokyo. The president's daughter of the client company liked me. And we were close to sealing the deal, but... Choosing my words carefully, I continued. On the final meeting day, my secret was exposed. She said she couldn't work with a monster like me. That's awful. Emily whispered. The scar is old, and I've almost forgotten about it myself, but it still shocks people. Emily listened intently. I took a deep breath and began to tell her more. 10 years ago, on my college entrance exam day, I was heading to the station when a traffic accident almost happened right in front of me. I jumped in to save a man without thinking. Is that when you got hurt? Emily's voice trembled slightly. Yeah. But honestly, I don't regret it at all. That man survived. When it comes to choosing between saving a life and taking an exam, the answer was clear. Emily's eyes were moist. But you didn't go to college. Yeah. In the end, this accident is why I only have a high school education. My family couldn't afford another chance. But I'd make the same choice again. Emily was silent for a moment, then slowly took my hand. Her warmth made my heart tremble. John, can I see the scar? I hesitated for a moment. This was a scar I'd never shown anyone. I thought deeply about what it meant to reveal it. Oh, you don't have to. I'm sorry. I tend to be insensitive sometimes. Emily said playfully to lighten the mood. I took a deep breath and made a decision. No, it's fine. I'll show you. I slowly took out a handkerchief from my pocket and gently wiped the left side of my face. The foundation gradually came off. Emily gasped. The red scar from my cheek down to my neck became visible. This is... Her voice trembled. I closed my eyes. Fear of rejection swirled inside me. But in the next moment, a warm hand touched my cheek. When I opened my eyes, Emily was smiling with tears in her eyes. John, this scar is something to be proud of. Her voice was gentle yet strong. It's a testament to your courage and kindness. It's the mark of a hero who saved someone's life. Tears unknowingly streamed down my face. Emily. You don't need to hide it. Emily took my hand. This is the real you. And I love you for all of it. Her words lifted a burden I'd carried for years. Thank you, I said with a hoarse voice. Emily gently embraced me. In her warmth, I felt truly accepted for the first time. Outside the window, the stars shone brightly in the night sky. In that moment, I knew. Meeting Emily was going to change my life profoundly. The next morning, when I arrived at the office, Emily had already placed a coffee on my desk. Good morning, let's do our best today. Her smile was filled with more than just collegial affection. Thank you, Emily. I replied in a low voice, mindful of the curious gazes around us. I recalled the night I had revealed my secret to Emily. I want to be your girlfriend. We started dating. However, we promised to act like regular colleagues at the office. But reality was different. Hey, John. I made this. Try it. Emily handed me a homemade lunch. It was filled with all my favorite foods. Delicious. But how did you know what I like? Oh, you mentioned you liked fried chicken before, so I tried my best. Emily's dedicated attitude attracted the attention of everyone in the office. "Hey, John. Are you dating Emily?" my colleague Henry teased. "No, it's not like that." I hurriedly denied it, feeling my face heat up. "Yeah, right. With her being so devoted, I'm jealous." The teasing from my colleagues increased day by day. Emily didn't seem to mind and stayed by my side as usual. "John, can we go over this document together?" Emily sat next to me, showing me the documents at a distance where our shoulders almost touched. Her scent wafted over, making my heart race. Thanks." I tried to hide my nervousness, but I felt the eyes of our colleagues on us. "Hey, you two, keep some distance." The teasing voices of my colleagues made me blush. But Emily, unfazed, replied, "What are you talking about? We're just discussing work." Her attitude made me a bit nervous, but also a bit happy. In the evening, while working overtime, Emily approached my desk. "John, it's getting late. Let's go home." "Yeah, but I still have this report." "I'll help you. It'll be done quickly if we do it together." Her enthusiasm made me happy, but I couldn't help worrying about others watching us. Once we left the office and were in a more private area, Emily took my arm. The intimate gesture made my heart skip a beat. "Emily. Hey, how about dinner at my place tonight?" "What?" She whispered in my ear, "We have the day off tomorrow." I nodded at her invitation, feeling both excited and nervous. Every day, as we secretly nurtured our romance at the office, our relationship deepened. Despite blushing from the teasing of our colleagues, Emily's devoted affection warmed my heart. We had intended to act like colleagues at work. But I secretly enjoyed these sweet, bittersweet days. One day, during the morning meeting, Kevin made an important announcement. "Everyone, listen up. We've received a directive from the head office. Our branch will be launching a new product development project utilizing local traditional industries." As the office buzzed with excitement, Kevin continued. "The leader of this project will be John. And the sub-leader will be Emily." Emily and I exchanged surprised looks. After the meeting, Emily approached my desk. "This is a great opportunity. Let's give it our all." Her eyes sparkled. "Yeah, but honestly, I'm a bit anxious." I answered honestly. Emily checked around us and whispered, "Don't worry, we'll definitely make it work." She quickly stepped back and smiled before skipping away. I felt like I was being played with. As the project started, we had planning meetings late into the night every day. The theme was developing new in-flight service items using traditional crafts. "John, how about this idea?" Emily showed me a proposal, looking excited. "Serving local shochu in Kiriko glasses. It lets passengers enjoy both the local taste and beauty." "That's great!" I exclaimed. "But the cost?" "Don't worry, I've talked with local craftsmen. They're all very supportive." I was impressed by Emily's initiative. As the project progressed, local expectations grew. We were even featured in the local newspaper, and we received joyful messages from the craftsmen. "Thank you, John and Emily." One day, a Kiriko craftsman visited our office. "Thanks to you, we might be able to show the beauty of traditional crafts to the younger generation." His words made us realize the true significance of our project. On a day when the project was in full swing, we had an unexpected visitor at the office. "Attention, everyone. A delegation from the new business development department at headquarters has arrived for an inspection." Kevin's announcement stirred up the entire office. While organizing the materials, I whispered to Emily, "New business development department? We weren't informed about this." Emily also looked puzzled. "This is the first I've heard of it. Maybe they got interested in our project?" At that moment, the door to the reception room opened, and the delegation entered. I held my breath. Leading the group was a woman. She had a poised presence and a cold gaze. It was unmistakable. Rachel, the president's daughter who had once caused my demotion. "Long time no see, John." Rachel's voice froze me in place. "Rachel. I can't believe it's you." She smiled thinly. "Yes, surprised? We're inspecting new projects across all regional offices. This particular project has caught the attention of headquarters. Her words caused a buzz in the office. So, I wanted to meet the project leader in person and hear the details. Rachel's eyes locked onto mine. Rachel smiled thinly as she looked around the office. Then, with a contemptuous gaze, she looked at me and said, "You've really fallen, haven't you? What are you doing in a small, rural office like this? There's no trace of the elite you once were at headquarters. Can someone like you be trusted with this?" "What do you mean by that?" Emily interjected. Rachel gave a cold smile. "Oh, you don't know?" He hid important facts and deceived the company. I was at a loss for words. Memories of the past flooded back, and cold sweat ran down my back. And this small local project, can it really benefit the company? Rachel continued. With his abilities, it will surely end in failure. Please wait. Suddenly, Emily stepped forward. John is a sincere and capable person. I don't know about his past, but judging by who he is now, that's clear. Emily's voice was full of determination. Moreover, this project is far from small. It preserves regional traditions and creates new value. You might not understand its importance. Rachel looked at Emily in surprise. And you are? Emily. I'm the sub-leader of this project and John's valued colleague. Emily's words made my heart swell with emotion. How intimate. Rachel said coldly. But business and personal matters are separate. John, what will she think when she learns about your past? At that moment, Emily gripped my hand tightly. I already know. Emily spoke firmly. I know all about John's past and his scars. I trust and respect him regardless. Rachel laughed mockingly. Really? Are you stupid? You respect a monster like him? Her laughter caused a stir in the office. All my colleagues' eyes turned toward me. Rachel. Emily's voice was filled with a fierce anger I had never heard before. Do you understand what you did to John? What? Judging a person's worth by a single scar. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. You couldn't see John's true value. What are you? Rachel tried to retort, but Emily continued undeterred. John sacrificed his future to save a life. You judged his courage and kindness by a superficial scar. Isn't that truly foolish? Rachel's face turned pale. Do you know how many people were hurt by your actions? Not just John, but the company that couldn't utilize his talents. And the people he could have helped. Every word Emily said seemed to pierce Rachel's heart. And most importantly, Emily lowered her voice but spoke with strong conviction. You hurt yourself the most. Not understanding such an amazing person will be something you'll regret one day. Shut up. Rachel's face turned red with anger. Listen, I will destroy this project. Your dreams will crumble like a sandcastle. Rachel turned on her heel, walked to the door, and flung it open, storming out. The door closed with a loud bang. Those of us left in the office stood in silence for a while. John. Emily called my name. I looked back at her. Thank you, Emily. You? She smiled gently. Of course. I just wanted to protect you. Her words warmed my heart. Rachel's parting words still echoed in my ears. But strangely, I didn't feel fear. Instead, a new resolve rose within me for the challenges ahead. Emily. I looked her straight in the eyes. We're going to make this project a success. Let's show Rachel our true strength. Emily nodded firmly. Yes, absolutely. We exchanged a determined handshake. The path ahead might be tough. But together, we could overcome any obstacle. It was a moment of certainty. Then, one day, as the project reached its peak, something unexpected happened. John, we have a problem. Emily burst into the office, looking frantic. The local pottery workshop suddenly said they were canceling the contract. What? Why? I stood up, shocked. Emily explained as she calmed down. They didn't give a reason, but it seems they're under external pressure. From that day on, problems started to pile up. The local bank suddenly withdrew its loan, putting us in a financial bind. The local newspaper published an article pointing out issues with our project, spreading anxiety among the community. Damn it, someone is deliberately sabotaging us, I said, clenching my teeth. Emily placed a hand on my shoulder. But we won't give up. We can overcome this. We desperately worked on countermeasures. We explained the significance of the project directly to the locals and sought new collaborators. We launched a crowdfunding campaign to cover the financial shortfall. However, the situation did not improve. One day, we received an urgent call from headquarters. John, your project is under scrutiny at headquarters. It might be cancelled if things don't change. At that moment, something struck me as odd. Wait a minute. Emily looked at me worriedly. What is it? These disruptions, they seem separate but are actually connected. I began explaining while pointing at my computer screen. First, the contract cancellations with local businesses. If you analyze the header information of these emails, I quickly typed on the keyboard, inputting commands. The screen displayed the header information of the emails. Look, they were all sent from the same IP address. And this IP is from a luxury apartment area in New York. Emily listened intently, surprised. Next, the loan cancellation. It's difficult to access the bank's system, but I inputted more complex commands, skillfully navigating through the bank's firewall. Here it is. The source of the loan cancellation order is the same IP address. Incredible. Emily gasped. But can we identify the culprit with just that? I smiled confidently. Of course. There's one more piece of evidence. A new window opened on the screen, displaying complex codes. This is the location data from Rachel's social media account. When you analyze her posts over the past 3 months, I pressed the Enter key, and red dots appeared on a map. See? The places Rachel frequently visits match the location of the problematic IP address. Emily's eyes widened. No way. It's certain. I declared. The mastermind behind all the sabotage is Rachel. The screen displayed Rachel's social media posts, email headers, and bank records, all connected by red lines spreading like a spider's web. You're truly amazing, Emily said, her eyes filled with admiration. I scratched my head, feeling a bit embarrassed. Well, I've always been good at deduction and programming. But now we finally know who we're up against. Strength returned to Emily's voice. I nodded. Yeah. Now that we've exposed Rachel's schemes, there's no turning back. We won't lose, will we? No, we won't. I answered confidently. We'll prove the legitimacy of our project. Emily and I sat side by side, facing Rachel. The air was tense. So, what's your plan? I began calmly. Rachel smiled elegantly. What do you mean? Don't play dumb, I said, opening my laptop and turning the screen towards her. Are you still going to pretend you don't know anything? The screen displayed the evidence of Rachel's sabotage neatly arranged. Emails, bank transactions, social media location data, all linked to Rachel. Her expression faltered for a moment. No way, how did you? It's simple. I began to explain matter-of-factly. First, I traced the IP address of the disrupted emails. From there, I cross-referenced it with your social media location data. Then, I analyzed the bank system logs to uncover the suspicious transactions. Rachel's face turned pale. And finally, I looked directly at Rachel. I infiltrated your father's company server and found all the instructions coming from there. This can't be. Rachel's voice trembled. That's illegal. Yes, it's a gray area, I admitted. But to expose your illegal activities, I was willing to take that risk. Rachel was momentarily at a loss for words. Just accept it. All we want is for the significance of our project to be recognized, I said quietly. Then, Rachel's expression suddenly changed. Not yet. What? Rachel pulled out her smartphone and pressed a button. Now the evidence of your illegal activities has been sent to the police. I gasped. So, what will you do? Rachel smiled challengingly. If you report me, you'll get caught too. I clenched my teeth. I hadn't anticipated this. John. Rachel stood up. Why don't we call it a draw? We'll erase each other's evidence and pretend this never happened. Various thoughts raced through my mind. Should I just give up? Or, what will you do? Rachel's voice echoed. It's decision time. Just as the tension in the room peaked, the door suddenly opened. Excuse me. With a commanding voice, two middle-aged men entered. Father! Rachel exclaimed in surprise. Mr. Thornton. I stood up to greet him. He looked sternly at his daughter. Rachel, your actions are completely unacceptable. His voice was harsh. Father, I had a valid reason. That man betrayed me. Betrayed? What do you mean? He kept that huge scar from me. Rachel's voice trembled. I cared about him, but he hid something so important. Mr. Thornton frowned. Are you saying your romantic feelings influenced company decisions? No. Rachel desperately tried to explain. How can you trust someone who hides such an important thing? There must be more secrets. I was thinking of the company. For the company? Mr. Thornton's voice grew colder. Do you realize how much damage your actions have caused? Rachel hesitated. But, tell me, how did you evaluate John's abilities? He is certainly talented, but... Exactly. His skills are top-notch. You were willing to lose such a valuable employee over your personal feelings. Rachel's expression began to crumble. Listen, Rachel. A leader must not make decisions based on personal feelings. To undermine an excellent employee for such reasons is inexcusable. But, Father, he deceived me. Such a person will inevitably betray us. Mr. Thornton sighed deeply. Rachel, you still don't understand. Everyone has a past they might not want to talk about. No one is obligated to reveal everything. A true leader must see the essence of a person. It's not about superficial scars or personal feelings, but their abilities and character. Rachel was completely at a loss for words and hung her head. Rachel. His voice grew even sterner. Your actions have severely damaged the company's reputation. Putting the company at risk due to personal emotions is something a leader must never do. I just wanted to. Do you understand? Your immature emotions have endangered the company's future. He sighed deeply, but maintained a firm stance. You will be relieved of all duties for a while. Reflect on your mistakes and develop the qualities of a true leader. Rachel could only nod silently. Seeing her like this, he realized the consequences of having spoiled her for so long. He sighed deeply, and after sternly reprimanding his daughter, he slowly turned to the other man. I'm deeply sorry. Mr. Thornton's voice was filled with sincere apology for showing such a disgraceful scene. The other man nodded quietly. His presence exuded a sense of undeniable authority. No need. The man said calmly. Rather, it was fortunate that we could get to the heart of the issue in this manner. Mr. Thornton continued with a serious expression. If it weren't for you, I would never have realized the serious mistake both my company and my daughter were making. I almost left someone as immature as Rachel unchecked. The man waved his hand. Mr. Thornton, don't worry about it. However, may I reveal my true identity here? Mr. Thornton looked slightly surprised but nodded. The man slowly stood up and began to address everyone in the room. My name is Simon. In fact, I am the principal shareholder of the Thornton Group. His words caused a stir in the room. Simon continued. And there is one more important fact. He turned towards me. John, 10 years ago, you saved my life. I was too stunned to speak. Memories rushed back. Simon took a deep breath and continued. Since then, I have been searching for you. I wanted to repay the debt to my lifesaver, and I finally found you. His eyes were filled with deep gratitude. While investigating you, I also learned about Rachel. Simon paused, choosing his words carefully. And I discovered that you were unjustly demoted. I tried to help in my own way. providing support through investments and negotiations with local businesses. His expression darkened. But I couldn't support you openly. This delayed my assistance, and I'm truly sorry for that. Also, he looked at Emily. I owe an apology to my daughter, Emily, as well. Emily spoke in a trembling voice. Dad. Emily, I'm truly sorry, really. Simon bowed his head to Emily. Why did you leave us? Do you know how hard it was for Mom and me? Tears welled up in Simon's eyes. Emily, I'm so sorry. I had no other choice to protect you both. Protect us? From what? Simon sighed deeply. Back then, I failed in my investments and was left with massive debts. I was being chased by dangerous people. I couldn't involve you and your mother. Why didn't you explain? I didn't want to worry you and your mother. Anne? I couldn't admit my own weakness. Simon lowered his head. He took out a small, worn paper bag from his pocket. Emily's eyes widened. Father, could it be? Simon slowly opened the paper bag and took out a small origami crane. It was a faded paper crane. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. That's... I made that. Simon smiled gently. Yes, you made it for me in kindergarten. You called it Dad's charm. On the small crane, the words I love you were written in big letters. Emily touched the origami with trembling hands. I can't believe you still kept this. This was my good luck charm. Simon's voice trembled. I never forgot about you and your mother, not even for a moment. Tears flowed freely from Emily's eyes. Simon continued. I thought you would never forgive me. Even after I repaid the debts, I couldn't muster the courage to reveal myself. Dad. I was shocked when I found out you were working with John. Simon said with a bitter smile. But helping John was also a way to atone to you. Simon bowed deeply. I'm so sorry for being such a weak father. I couldn't protect you and your mother. But from now on. Emily interrupted, it's okay. With those words, she hugged her father tightly, crying. Their bodies shook with emotion. Years of regret, loneliness, and the joy of finally being reunited were all wrapped in that embrace. A month later, with Simon's strong support and the dedicated efforts of our entire team, the heartfelt project achieved a success beyond our wildest expectations. The new products, which creatively combined traditional local crafts with modern designs, became a nationwide sensation and were widely covered by the media. Orders poured in, overwhelming production. The project's success and my decisive actions became well known throughout the company. The fate of the two who once tormented me also changed dramatically. Rachel, under the strict punishment of her father, Mr. Thornton, was forced to leave the company for a while. However, this experience greatly transformed her. John. One day, I received a call from Rachel. I wanted to apologize. I caused so much trouble for you and the company because of my prejudice. I'm truly sorry. Her voice lacked the arrogance it once had, replaced by genuine remorse. From now on, I will start from scratch to become a true leader. I aim to be someone like you. I sensed her sincere growth in her words. Meanwhile, Harvey, who tried to bring me down, faced his own consequences. His misconduct was discovered in an internal investigation, leading to his dismissal. John. On the day Harvey left the company, he came to see me. I was a fool to envy and try to undermine you. I'm really sorry. Regret was evident in his eyes. Harvey, I said seriously. Your skills are real. Use this experience to climb back up. I look forward to seeing you as a worthy rival again. Harvey looked surprised but then nodded with determination. Yes, I will. Next time, I'll return with pride. Thus, my former adversaries began their own new paths. Their transformation gave me hope that even if people make mistakes, they can bounce back if they sincerely reflect and strive to improve. One day, I received a sudden call from headquarters. John. Mr. Thornton's voice resonated over the phone. Your accomplishments have been highly praised at headquarters. We are considering your return to the main office and a promotion to department manager. What do you think? I was momentarily speechless. Returning to headquarters had once seemed like an unattainable dream. And a promotion as well. But then, I thought about my days here, the people I met, and Emily. Taking a deep breath, I replied, "I'm sorry, but I must decline the offer to return to headquarters." There was a moment of surprise on the other end. Why? I still have unfinished business here. I want to further develop this project and make it a foundation for the future of this region. And I hesitated. There's someone here who's irreplaceable to me. After a brief silence, Mr. Thornton responded warmly. I understand. I respect your decision. I look forward to your continued success. After hanging up the phone, I called Emily. We arranged to meet at the beach at sunset. Emily came running up. What's going on? Why did you call me out here? I looked at her seriously. Emily, I've decided not to return to headquarters. What? Her eyes widened in surprise. I want to stay here, with you, and help this project grow. For the future. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. Really? I took a small box from my pocket and got down on one knee. Emily, will you marry me? Emily covered her mouth with her hands and nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, yes. We embraced tightly. With the sun setting over the ocean, we took the first step into our new life together. Let's build our future together. Emily smiled happily. Yes, let's work hard together. As the sound of the waves gently echoed, our new story was about to begin. The challenges in the countryside and life with the one I love. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. But together, we could overcome any obstacle. I was certain of it. You're fired. I can't believe you're such a useless employee after I went out of my way to hire you. I worked as a sales representative for a major apparel company but couldn't improve my performance and got fired. However, after helping my beautiful childhood friend with her business, it quickly grew into a popular shop. Then, my usually confident childhood friend whispered shyly into my ear. I'll make it up to you plenty. Come over here. I let her wrap her arms around my waist. Jason. A high-pitched voice calling my name familiarly. I'm Jason, working in the sales department of a major apparel company called Valora. I think I have enough communication skills to talk about clothes with people, but I'd prefer a quiet life. I just want to think about clothes. I only want to sell clothes that I truly believe in and don't want to release anything I don't want to sell into the world. Despite this, for some reason, I find myself working in sales for this company that mass-produces mainstream clothing. Of course, my sales performance is among the lowest. Jason, are you working hard today too? There's only one person who would call me by my first name in this vast office. It's Emily, the president's daughter. For some reason, which I can't fathom, she often interacts with me. Jason, you have talent, so you need to work hard. For my sake too. Someday, you'll take over this company. Let's keep working hard together. Forever and ever. Every day, she comes to my desk and talks to me as if she's my girlfriend. But since she's the one who got me hired at this company and is the president's daughter, I can't ignore her in front of all the employees. Jason, we're going on a date tonight. Meet me at this restaurant. I have something very important to tell you. All right. I can foresee what would happen if I refused. When another employee had trouble with a client, everything around them ended up flying through the air, and that employee was gone the next day. See you later. She whispered into my ear before leaving the sales department. My colleague at the next desk, who had been pretending not to see the whole thing, said, "You're so lucky, man. How did you get such a beautiful girl? I want to date a girl like that too. No matter how your performance is, she takes care of you. And your future is secure. It's the best." Probably, everyone in the sales department, except for me, thinks the same thing. I didn't respond to my colleague's teasing and just pointlessly tapped on the keyboard in front of me. After work, I headed to the restaurant Emily had specified. It was a truly luxurious French restaurant, just as she had said. Jason, you're late. I was getting tired of waiting. Emily was already seated and waiting. I took a seat across from her. What would you like to drink, Jason? How about some wine? Let's start with some sparkling. I'll leave it to you. You have such a push and pull personality. That's one of the things I love about you. So, I called you here today to have a proper talk. What do you think it's about? I don't know. Come on, even though I confess my love to you every day, you haven't noticed? You're really dull. So, Jason, let's get married. I'm well aware of Emily's outrageous personality, so I wasn't too surprised. In fact, she says similar things so often that I don't even know how serious she is. If we get married and run this company together, it would go really well. You hate the sales department, don't you? If we get married, you can get out of there and get promoted quickly. And we can make a lot of clothes together. I got irritated. It's not about wanting to get promoted. I just love clothes and want to make the ones I want to make. I refuse. Why not? It's only good things for you. I think it's a good idea. If we make clothes together, it'll be so much fun. And if we get married, you can always design the clothes I'll wear. You can always think about clothes, and I'll always be with you. I don't want to make clothes with you. I blurted out. Emily's face started to cloud over. What do you mean by that? It means I have no intention of marrying you. Crash. Emily stood up with a fierce energy and stormed towards me. As soon as she got close, she yanked my tie hard, bringing my face almost against hers. Do you know what you're saying? Do you know who made it possible for you to work here? I appreciate it. I don't need your gratitude. Show it with your actions. I'm sorry. But it's just not possible anymore. Fine. If that's your attitude. Let's see how you like wandering the streets again. You can't do anything on your own anyway. Can't do anything on my own. That phrase hit me hard. Fine. Thank you for everything. I brushed off Emily's hand, stood up, and walked out of the private room. Hey! Stop right there. You think this is over? Her voice echoed down the hallway. I left the restaurant, feeling crushed by a heavy black cloud of emotion. The next day, I didn't go to work. No calls from the office. I stayed holed up in my one-room apartment in the city. With the curtains closed, I spent my time in bed. I didn't want to think about anything. I was exhausted. You can't do anything on your own. Those words were like a thorn stuck in my side, refusing to come out. Was I really that powerless? My father passed away in an accident when I was a child. My mother raised me alone, working at a sewing factory. She was very skilled and could create clothes just by thinking about them. Look, Jason. I made this for you. Try it on. She always made clothes for me, wearing the same ones herself. I often thought, this kind of clothes would suit her. And these shoes would go well with that dress. I loved drawing, so even as a kid, I sketched these ideas in my notebook. I wanted to see my mom happy. So one day, I secretly designed some clothes for her and tried to make them myself. I was in elementary school, so of course, I didn't have any sewing skills. The result was something unwearable. But I had used fabric from around the house, so I couldn't hide it. I handed the ragged clothes to her, saying, "Mom, here." "Did you make this, Jason?" she asked, looking incredulous. "Yeah. You're always wearing the same clothes. But I couldn't make it as well as you do." She gently placed her hand on my head and said, "Thank you, Jason. This is a treasure to me. I'm really, really happy. I'll cherish it forever." She smiled with tears in her eyes. "But you can't wear something so ragged. It's okay. With a little fix, it'll be just fine." "Jason, shall we work on it together?" she invited, and I nodded silently. From that day on, I drew designs, made clothes, and got more and more absorbed in the world of fashion. My mom always smiled and helped me whenever I got stuck, teaching me what to do. "Jason, you're so good at drawing and quick to learn sewing. Maybe you'll become a fashion designer someday." She said this when I was in middle school. I just want to make clothes that make you happy. I wanted to see my mom's happy face. That was my only focus. My mother passed away from an illness while I was attending fashion school. It was terminal cancer. In her hospital room, bathed in bright sunlight, she said her final words. "Jason, you've grown up to be such a thoughtful and kind person. It must have been hard with just me raising you. But you know, I was really happy. I had so much fun. You'll be fine. You'll make wonderful clothes that will make everyone happy. I'm looking forward to seeing the clothes you create out in the world, so please let me know when that happens. I'll be waiting." Since she passed, I've tried to believe in her words and endure various things in my own way. But in reality, how have things turned out? I haven't been able to report anything to her. I feel so pathetic and embarrassed that I haven't even been able to visit her grave for years. As I was reminiscing about my mother, my feet started moving on their own. About 2 hours by train from my apartment, I returned to my hometown. This town, rich in nature, has been gradually developed, and the old apartment where I lived with my mother is no longer there. Its location, surrounded by both mountains and the sea, has become popular, and it's crowded with people and cars on weekends. On weekdays, there aren't as many tourists, and locals go about their daily lives. I'm glad it's a weekday. Thinking that, I headed straight for the seaside. It was a clear day, and the sound of the waves was calm. Feeling the pleasantness, I gazed at the sea from the breakwater. The sparkling surface of the water seemed to cleanse my previously darkened heart. When I was in middle school, I often sat on this breakwater near our shabby apartment, thinking about clothing designs. The sound of the waves somehow made the work go smoothly. "Are you drawing again?" Someone peeked over my shoulder. "Hey, cut it out." I was embarrassed to have my designs seen and tried to hide them, but she was quick and snatched my sketchbook in no time. It was my childhood friend, Lisa. She was bright and fast on her feet. We attended the same school through elementary and middle school. In middle school, she joined the track team and won competitions with her speed. Her tan skin showed how hard she was practicing. "Wow, this is amazing. How can you draw such incredible pictures?" "I'm really jealous because I can't draw at all. It's not that great." I was secretly pleased with her compliment. "There you go, being modest again. Have a bit more confidence. I wish I could draw like that." "If you practice, you'll get better." "Nope, drawing is the one thing I'm hopeless at. I do have a knack for imagining good designs in my head, though. I wish you could draw the clothes I imagine. I'll draw them for you." "Really? Okay, let's see, the top should be, what's the word for it?" "Lisa, you should probably study a bit more about things other than track." "Hey! You just made fun of me." "You totally did. You jerk." She tickled my side vigorously. I always lose my composure around her. She makes me realize how cheerful I can be. That's how Lisa is, someone who brightens the surroundings just by being there. But really, Jason, your designs are amazing. They really sparkle. "What do you mean?" "Well, it's like, if these clothes existed in the world, it would be so wonderful. It makes me excited. Like you really thought about the person who would wear them." She had a sharp intuition about things like this. "I want to make clothes for my mom." "Your mom?" "Yeah. I totally get it. Your mom would look amazing in these clothes. She's really beautiful." Lisa always had a way of lifting people up. "Even if you compliment me, it won't get you anything." "What?" "No, I mean, your mom is so beautiful that anything would look good on her." You little. Looks like I'd better run." I wonder how Lisa is doing. Lisa went to a top-notch track school, so she left our hometown. We were close. We exchanged contact info and talked on the phone about our days when we first started school. But as I got busier with preparations for fashion school, and Lisa stopped reaching out, we drifted apart. I wonder if she's still running. Sitting on the breakwater, I thought about these things absent-mindedly. Knowing Lisa, she's probably still energetic somewhere. "Jason?" I heard a familiar voice call my name. It couldn't be. She couldn't be here. But that voice was unmistakable. "Wow! Jason! No way! What a surprise! How have you been?" Turning around, I saw a woman in a pink short sleeve and shorts running outfit, with long black hair and a ponytail. But her voice, mannerisms, and carefree smile were just as they were back then. No doubt about it, it was Lisa. I saw someone sitting on the breakwater and thought, no way, but it's you, Jason. You haven't changed a bit. I couldn't believe I was seeing her. It was such an unexpected surprise. Not only seeing her but also seeing how much she'd grown. It's been a while. Jason, you really haven't changed at all. Is that all you have to say after all this time? I didn't recognize you at first. Really? Have I changed that much? Yeah. You got older. Hey. This banter felt so comfortable. Jason, what are you doing here? Do you live around here? How's your mom? A chill ran through my heart. Mom passed away. It was while I was attending fashion school. Oh. I see. I'm sorry to hear that. But wait, you went to fashion school? Are you a designer now? Are you working in apparel? Reluctantly, I explained. I got fired. What? You got fired? Why? What happened? Where do I even start? No, nothing like that. I just wasn't good at the job. But what kind of job? Sales for an apparel company. Sales? Jason doing sales? That's impossible. You, who's so bad at talking, doing sales? Don't laugh so much. My words came out harsher than I intended. Sorry. I just couldn't imagine you doing sales. So, have you stopped designing? Yeah. I see. That's a shame. Lisa thought for a moment, then said, Hey, could you help me out with something? What's up? Lisa looked a bit embarrassed. Actually, I run an apparel shop. How many more surprises are in store for me? What? You, Lisa? Yeah, I was embarrassed to say it, but there's no point talking about it here. Come to my shop? I decided to follow Lisa. This is my shop. The sign read Urban Athlete above a stylish, cozy storefront. Inside, shelves covered the walls, displaying rows of shoes. There were clearly more shoes than clothes. The shoes were mainly sneakers and those designed to reduce foot strain, rather than fashionable ones. Come on in. Past a single door was Lisa's workshop, filled with shoemaking tools, molds, and sewing machines. Sorry for the mess. I'll get us some drinks. Have a seat. I sat in the chair Lisa offered and looked around the workshop. In one corner of the room, there were basic appliances like a small fridge and a microwave. Do you make shoes? Yeah, I do. Well, I come up with designs that are athlete-friendly and ask craftsmen to make them. I couldn't believe Lisa was doing this. Surprised? I know, I can't draw, but I could barely make a sample shoe. So, I somehow managed. Lisa sat in another chair, holding a mug in both hands, and started to talk. You know, I went to that top track school in another prefecture, right? Things were going well. I made the regular team for short distance races and participated in competitions. Her hands gripped the mug tightly. But just before the national championships in my second year of high school, I suddenly couldn't walk. Lisa's face twisted slightly. My feet had been hurting for a while, but I thought it was normal and kept practicing with some tape. Then one morning, I couldn't get up. Apparently, overusing my feet affected my back. I had surgery and could walk again, but I couldn't run like before. So, I switched to being a team assistant. I see. That must have been tough. Now I understood why Lisa had stopped contacting me. It was hard, wasn't it? Yeah. I was really down for a while. But I still loved track and field, so I supported everyone. Helping with their running forms and thinking about how to avoid injuries, using my experience as a lesson. I figured there were still many things I could do. I wondered how she felt watching others run so smoothly when she couldn't. Can you run now? Yeah. I can do everything in daily life without any issues. I can even do light jogging. At one point, I didn't know what would happen. But I'm glad I can run again. You're strong, Lisa. Not really. I cried a lot. But I love running, so I wanted to keep doing it in some form. That's amazing, really. Oh, stop, you're embarrassing me. Alright. So, I thought, if I focus on reducing foot strain, I can wear stylish shoes like pumps. But shoes that reduce strain are usually really ugly. You want to wear stylish shoes on dates, right? Lisa, can you even go on dates? Hey! You're mocking me. I do have some demand. Okay. You're not convinced, huh? Anyway, I thought of making stylish shoes that athletes can wear. But since I can't draw, I barely managed to make samples, which is not cost-effective or time-efficient. So, Jason, can you draw shoe designs for me? I prefer clothes. Come on. Shoes and clothes are kind of the same to draw, right? I need you to sketch the shoes I imagine. Even though I said I preferred clothes, I wasn't entirely opposed to the idea. After entering the shop and seeing the displayed shoes, I had a good idea of what kind of shoes Lisa wanted to make and the style she aimed for. I already had various images and ideas in my head about how to improve and make them more stylish. Sure. Really? That's awesome. But if I'm doing it seriously. Don't take it lightly. I should be saying that. Don't back out halfway. Alright, first, give me your foot. What? I stood up from my chair, knelt down at Lisa's feet, took off her shoe, and exposed her bare foot. See? If you improve the silhouette around here, the shoe looks much better. Wait, Jason. What? I mean, I was just running, and my feet are dirty. It's embarrassing to have them looked at so closely. I glanced again at what was before me. A pair of well-toned, slightly muscular legs extended from her shorts. She must have trained hard, resulting in these legs that were neither too thin nor too thick, but just right. They were really beautiful. I was taken aback. What am I thinking? I quickly let go of her foot and stood up. Sorry. No, it's me who should apologize. What were we talking about again? Trying to shake off the awkwardness, I grabbed a shoe mold and started discussing shoe design to forget what just happened. Listening to Lisa's ideas, I began sketching designs on the spot. We exchanged thoughts, tweaking the designs as we went along. This is fun. It's been a while since I felt this way. I felt fulfilled again. Wow. This is amazing. You came up with so many designs in such a short time, and they are exactly what I envisioned. Lisa's eyes sparkled. I'm glad I could help. I couldn't believe I was feeling this way again. Then I noticed the clothes in the shop. What about those clothes? Oh, those. I thought they were nice, so I decided to stock them. We have stylish shoes, but also running shoes and sneakers. And they sometimes don't go well with regular clothes. So, I thought it would be nice to have outfits that go well with them. But coordinating them is tough. How about I make them? I spoke before I could think. What? I'll design the clothes to go with your shoes. What? Are you selling something? Idiot. It'd be a waste not to. You have so many great shoe ideas. I'll create the clothes to match them. Really? That's amazing. Yeah, leave it to me. Wow. This is incredible. And so, we started working together on both shoes and clothes. We completely changed the shop layout, added more mannequins, and coordinated the displays with both shoes and outfits. On weekends, the number of tourists visiting the shop increased noticeably. The stylish yet comfortable shoes gained popularity, and soon athletes began talking about our shop on social media. Photos of our products spread online, and our unique clothing designs also became popular, leading to a flood of orders from our previously stagnant online store. Before we knew it, our sales hit record highs, and the shop became quite well known. I moved out of my city apartment and into a slightly larger 1 LDK apartment in my hometown. My new home became my sewing workshop, filled with fabric scraps. I brought my old bed from the apartment, managing to keep a space to sleep. Lisa's shop sales were doing well. I could make clothes again. It had been so long since I felt this happy. Just then, the intercom buzzed. I opened the door to find Lisa looking excited. Jason. What's up? You're so fidgety this morning. Come on in. I invited Lisa into my place. We often visited each other's homes to brainstorm design ideas. Lisa sat down in the living room chair. She seemed to be holding something. I handed her an iced coffee and asked, "What's that?" She replied, "Guess what? We got an invitation." An invitation? Yeah, to a reception party hosted by Valora. I felt my fingers go numb. Isn't it amazing? Our shop has grown so much that we received an invitation from Valora. I've had goosebumps ever since I got it. Hey, Jason. Are you okay? I had never told Lisa where I used to work. I used to work at Valora. What? You did sales at Valora? Yeah. I see. I didn't know. Lisa paused for a moment before saying, "Valora must be blind to fire someone like you." Okay, let's skip the party. I expected her to say that. No, let's go. Are you sure, Jason? I'm sure. I'm not the same person I used to be. All right. I couldn't have grown my shop this big without you, Jason. It wouldn't feel right to go to the party without you. If you're okay with it, please come with me. Okay. I decided to attend Valora's party with Lisa 2 weeks later. The party was in the evening, so after working in the shop, I went home to change into a suit and then returned to the workshop. We closed the shop for the day. While Lisa was still getting ready, I tidied up the store. Hey, Lisa, are you ready? Hold on, the zipper is stuck. Get ready quickly, the taxi's on its way. Valora, if it's a party, Emily will probably be there too. I hope nothing happens at the venue. I heard the workshop door open. Sorry to keep you waiting. Is the zipper? Lisa stepped out in an off-shoulder dress with a deep slit, in a nude pink color. She wore simple beige open-toe pumps. Her long black hair was styled into a beautiful updo. Usually without makeup, her face now looked even more stunning. How do I look? Is it okay? I was so captivated I couldn't speak. Hey, do I look weird? Tell me. No, you look beautiful. Don't be so blunt. You're embarrassing me. Well, if I try, I can look this good. Did I leave you speechless? All right, the taxi's here. Let's go. We got into the taxi and headed to the venue for Valora's party. The party was held in the banquet hall of a renowned luxury hotel. Everywhere I looked, there were famous fashion designers. Hey, Jason, it's a buffet. The food looks amazing, Lisa said. She didn't seem to recognize any of the people around her, and she was simply excited about the party. I was more nervous than she was. Lisa's carefree attitude helped me relax a bit. Don't eat too much, Lisa. That dress shows off your figure. I know. Oh. A familiar, unpleasant voice reached my ears. Well, look who it is. How have you been? It was Emily. Long time no see. Why so formal? Enjoy the party. Emily glanced at Lisa standing next to me and asked, "And who might this be?" I whispered to Lisa, "This is Emily, the president's daughter at Valora." "Oh, I'm Lisa, the owner of Urban Athlete. Thank you for inviting us tonight." Lisa responded nervously and bowed. "Oh, you're the one. I looked into your shop. I heard you used to be an athlete." "Yes, I was a sprinter." "I see. So, this is your first time at an event like this. No wonder you're nervous. And that dress must be quite the adjustment for you. It looks nice, though it's quite the transformation." "Oh, Lisa's face turned red. "Well, Jason, see you around." With that, Emily walked away. Hey, what was that all about? She was so rude. "What's your relationship with the president's daughter?" Lisa whispered angrily. "That's just how she is. And there's nothing between us. I don't know why she always bothers me," I said, trying to calm her down. "Rich people can be so stuck up. Let's go eat a ton, Jason." So, we enjoyed the food at the party for a while. Jason, I'm stuffed. I ate so much. You really are something else. While we were eating, the room was filled with notable people networking. It felt like a world far removed from ours, so we didn't try to force any interactions. We stood at the edge of the venue, observing the entire party. Jason, my feet hurt. She had worn uncomfortable shoes for the occasion. I told you not to wear pumps. Here, sit down. Thanks. I'll get us some drinks. What would you like? Oolong tea. Got it. I left Lisa and headed to the drinks counter. I grabbed 2 oolong teas and was just a few steps away from reaching Lisa when Emily stepped in front of me. Jason, are you enjoying the party? Emily blocked my way. Yes. Thank you. We were close enough for Lisa to see us, and if we spoke too loudly, she might hear us. Lisa was busy with her phone and hadn't noticed the situation yet. I wanted to get away and back to Lisa as soon as possible. Great. Hey, Jason, why don't you come back to Valora? My dad's here tonight, and I can ask him directly if you'd like. I can't believe she has the nerve to say that. No, thank you. I appreciate the offer. Oh, don't be so modest. I mean, you must hate working in such a small-town workshop. I want you to spread your wings in a bigger company. She's deliberately speaking loudly. Lisa looked up from her phone and noticed us. She heard. If you stay there, you'll ruin yourself. So, come back to me. I refuse. My voice rose involuntarily. The room went silent. How dare you embarrass me like this? Do you know what this means? You'll never survive in this industry. You can't do anything on your own. Stop it. Lisa stood up to Emily. Jason is not incapable. Thanks to him, my shop has grown. Without him, I wouldn't be here today. Shut up. Emily shoved Lisa hard. No. Heard a ripping sound. As Lisa fell to the floor. Her dress tore at the slit. Oh my gosh, how ridiculous. That's what you get for wearing something you're not used to. Why don't you change back into your sportswear? With that, Emily walked away. I took off my suit jacket and wrapped it around Lisa's waist, helping her up. We left the hall and headed to a private room. Lisa, I'm so sorry. I dragged you into this mess. What are you talking about? This isn't your fault, Jason. It's that awful president's daughter. She's got the worst personality. She was trying to sound cheerful, but her trembling voice betrayed her. She must have been really scared. Lisa, I'm sorry for scaring you. Let's just go home. No. Half crying, Lisa insisted. It's so frustrating. Jason, you're amazing. And yet, she said you can't do anything and belittled you. If we leave now, it'll seem like she was right and we're giving up. Tears streamed down Lisa's face. But my dress is torn, and I can't go back like this. We should leave now. I don't care what they say about me. But I can't stand them bad-mouthing you, Jason. I never knew she felt this way. Thank you, Lisa. I couldn't help but hug her as she cried. It's so frustrating. I don't want to leave like this. Her determination moved me deeply. I won't run away anymore. Let's go back. But my dress is ruined. I can't go out like this. I glanced around the room. Don't worry, leave it to me. Good evening, and thank you for attending Valora's party tonight. It was President of Valora, Mr. Smith, giving the opening speech. He was saying the usual pleasantries. We appreciate your ongoing support. The room suddenly buzzed with chatter. The entire venue became noisy all at once. Emily, standing near Mr. Smith, looked toward the source of the commotion. There stood Lisa, being escorted by me. Hey, isn't that the girl who had a fight with the president's daughter? She's wearing a different dress now, right? Wow, that dress is beautiful. Isn't the top part made from the same fabric as her original dress? It's like Cinderella. Lisa's dress had been altered. with the torn part removed and the bottom half refashioned using the curtain fabric from the venue to create a new long dress. A large bow was added to the sleeves, and her hair was styled into a half updo to enhance her elegance. Gorgeous. Impressive. Word of what had happened spread throughout the room, and soon everyone was praising the transformation. Who made this dress? Someone in the crowd asked Lisa. She responded, he did. Jason did. Jason. Is that really you? Among the attendees, there was John, the former project leader from Lux. John. A chill ran through me. The eyes of the crowd and the memory of John's gaze from that time overlapped. I felt dizzy. Was I going to, again? I'm sorry. What? I failed to recognize your talent. That design was yours. I deeply regret what happened. John bowed deeply. Jason? What's going on? Who is this man? Lisa asked. After graduating from fashion school, I joined Lux. My designs were quickly recognized, and I got involved in a project that aimed to create clothes for Paris Fashion Week. Within the company, they called me a genius. I was thrilled. Having my designs acknowledged was the ultimate compliment for a designer. Mom, wait for me. Soon, I'll be making clothes for Paris Fashion Week. I'm thinking about which designs to use. When my clothes make it to Paris, I'll come and tell you all about it. I used to say this at my mother's grave. Then one day, the incident happened. Bang! On John's desk lay another design that was identical to mine. But the names on the designs were mine and my senior colleague Steve's. Did you really steal someone else's work? What? Someone saw you taking his drawings. I had no idea what he was talking about. I didn't steal anything. These were my drawings, ones I had created myself. How could I have taken them from myself? What's going on? I couldn't process everything fast enough. Don't just stand there, say something. The project leader's voice echoed through the office. Multiple people saw you sneaking around with his drawings. I felt the blood drain from my face. That's not true. It's not true. I wanted to speak, but no words came out. Multiple people saw me? How? Why are you silent? Say something. I could hear the frustration in John's voice. This isn't true. I didn't plagiarize. These are my designs. I wanted to say that, but my mouth wouldn't move. John sighed with a mix of anger and disappointment. So, you've been lying all along. I'm not lying. I thought hard about these designs since I was a child, revising them countless times until they were perfect. They're treasures I created with my mother, discussing how to make them more beautiful. But I couldn't get the words out. A designer who can't make clothes on their own. You're useless. Don't show your face here again. I was betrayed. After joining the company, I quickly rose through the ranks and was involved in creating clothes for Paris Fashion Week. A project everyone aspired to. But not everyone praised my success, and some were envious. The Paris Fashion Week project was also operated by several teams. Within these teams, roles were divided based on expertise, such as design, sewing, and other specialties. I had a feeling that Steve, a senior 5 years older than me from another team, didn't think highly of me. But I didn't let it bother me. My team was kind and genuinely appreciated my designs, always discussing how to make them better. Then came the rumor that I had stolen Steve's design. In reality, it was a scheme by Steve's team to frame me. Even as John interrogated me, I started to realize this. But in that moment, my mind went blank and I couldn't say anything, making me look like the plagiarist. As a result, I was fired from Lux, hit rock bottom, cut off all contact with people, and wandered aimlessly for years. I only ventured out to the nearby park. I would just stare at my sketchbook, unable to design anything new. I used to love designing. Now I was branded a plagiarist for life. Then, one day, Emily approached me in the park, asking if I wanted to make clothes again. The chance to design once more led me to join Valora, but their mass-market approach didn't suit my desire for originality. Deemed useless, I was relegated to the sales department. It was my fault for not realizing it sooner. When I had them explain the concept behind the design, they couldn't. Under pressure, they admitted to framing you. I tried to contact you, but you had disappeared. I'm truly sorry. Please, John, don't apologize. It's in the past. I should have spoken up. Misunderstandings piled up. I'm sorry. I bowed my head to John. I finally said it. I finally said I wasn't a plagiarist. John lifted his head and announced to the room, he was once the youngest designer at Lux, hailed as a genius. I have the utmost respect for his work. Lux? The top-tier brand? You worked there? Of course he can create great designs. Bravo! The room erupted in applause. Jason. Lisa looked confused, trying to grasp the situation. I'm sorry for the surprise. I'll explain everything later. Bravo! A loud voice boomed through the microphone. It was President of Velora, Mr. Smith. Wonderful! Not only did you fix the dress, but also you created something new and made it even better. Simply fantastic. I hear you used to be with us. How about we bring you back with better conditions? Dad, stop it. I've seen his designs, and they don't fit our company's concept. I know better designers who would be a better fit. I'll introduce them to you next time. Emily spoke clearly into the microphone, making sure everyone could hear. Oh, I see. All right. Jason, you're always welcome at our company. Not a chance. I thought to myself, but I only bowed slightly in response. And so, this unprecedented party came to a close. Please design for our company too. Would you consider working with us? I never imagined a day like this would come when my skills were in such high demand. I'm glad. All my efforts weren't in vain. Thank you. I felt my eyes well up with tears. Finally, as people began to leave, Lisa and I returned to the private room. Phew. I'm exhausted. And what the heck, Jason? You're a genius? Well, something like that. Why didn't you tell me? I've been making a genius do assistant work. Now I feel embarrassed. It's all right. You gave me a reason to keep going. I'm really grateful. Thank you. Being a genius is fine, but you shouldn't use other people's stuff without permission. We need to apologize to the hotel for cutting the curtains. I hadn't thought about that, being so focused on getting through the moment. You're right. I'll be careful. But hey, this is great. You finally get a fresh start. Yeah. All right, let's head home. We decided to go home. As we were heading through the lobby, Emily came running up to us. Wait a minute. What do you want? Lisa, already on edge, spoke sharply, but I stepped in front of her to face Emily. What was she going to say? I braced myself. I'm sorry. Emily's first words were unexpected. I want to explain. Emily looked directly at me. When I was in high school, my mom was kicked out by my dad. He had a new mistress and wanted to be with her. I loved my mom so much. She took great care of me, and we shared a love for fashion. I wanted to leave with her, but she didn't let me. She thought I'd have a better life with Dad. I cried and begged, but she didn't let me go with her. After she left, my life felt so dark. I felt like I could die at any moment. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. But then, I saw you in the park on my way back from school. You looked so sad, and at first, I thought you were homeless. But every day, you were looking at a sketchbook. I was curious about what was in it. Emily continued, looking a bit guilty. One day, you tore a page from your sketchbook and threw it in the trash. I picked it up because I wanted to see what was on it. It was a beautiful drawing of a dress. I was so moved that someone could draw such beautiful clothes. Emily's expression remained serious. She didn't seem to be lying. From that day, I had a goal. I wanted to take over my dad's company and make beautiful clothes. I thought if I became the top, my mom might come back. That's why I wanted you so much. I wanted to use your designs to make my company bigger. I could sense the strong resolve in Emily's words. Your name was on the drawing, so I tried desperately to find out about you. That's when I heard that you had risen to the youngest designer at Lux, only to leave after being caught up in a plagiarism scandal. Emily clenched her fists. I knew you didn't plagiarize. As I dug deeper, I realized you were set up. But I still wanted you at my company. I wanted you to make clothes with me, so I stayed silent. I'm sorry. Emily bowed deeply. When you didn't do well in the design department at Valora, you were about to be fired. I asked my dad to transfer you to sales. He agreed to keep you if you could prove yourself there. That's why you were sent to sales. After a brief pause, Emily continued, her voice trembling slightly with tears. But maybe it would have been better for you to leave. I made you stay out of my selfishness, and you had to endure so much. I'm really sorry. Emily kept her head bowed, unable to look up. Please raise your head. I didn't know you had thought so much about me. I'm sorry for treating you coldly. Emily looked up, shaking her head. Her face streaked with tears. I'm really, really sorry. Emily pulled something out of her jacket pocket. This is for you. I think it's important. I was stunned. It was the design drawing I had thrown away in the park when I was at my lowest. It was the original design for that project, one I had created with my mother. Later, I regretted discarding it and went back to the park's trash can, but it was already gone. Thank you for keeping it safe. I bowed my head in gratitude. Emily, looking somewhat relieved, said, finally, I said everything I needed to. Now I can start fresh. Keep making great clothes. She extended her hand. Yes. I shook her hand firmly. All right, the villain is leaving. The girl behind you scares me to death. Lisa was glaring daggers at Emily. Goodbye. With that, Emily left with a clear conscience. A year has passed since then. Mom, I've finally started making my own clothes. Sorry it took so long to tell you. I visited my mother's grave for the first time in years. I could finally report my progress to her. You've done well. It felt like my mother was saying that to me. I launched my own brand. It's called Rebirth, meaning to be rebirth. Lisa's shop continued to thrive as well. I had become somewhat famous in the apparel industry, and thanks to media coverage. Even people outside the industry recognized me from time to time. After the cemetery visit, I headed to Lisa's workshop. I'm back. Jason. Help me over here. Lisa's demanding nature was still going strong. If anything, it might have gotten worse. Yes, Your Highness. Stop calling me that, it's embarrassing. Remember how they called you Cinderella? That's not my character at all. You escorted me so confidently into that hall. Well, your feet were hurting, right? If you had tripped there, it would have been a disaster. Yeah, that's true. All right, as long as you're satisfied, princess. Well then, I should thank you properly for escorting me. Thank me? Lisa started edging closer to me. My back was already against the wall, leaving me nowhere to retreat. What are you doing? I'm thanking you. Thanking me? Yes, a thank you. Wait, what? Lisa wrapped her arms around my waist. Is this really happening? But before I could think any further. Wait. Stop it. No, I can't take it. She started tickling me vigorously with her hands around my waist. Come on. Stop messing around. What? Were you expecting something else? You idiot. Wait, you. Looks like I'd better run. I never thought I would have days where I could laugh like this. No matter how deep the darkness or how low you fall, if you don't lose sight of yourself, eventually light will shine through. No matter how tough it gets, you should never give up. Just as someone guided me, I hope I can become someone who guides others.